Hi, I'm Carrie, and this is Student Loan Chit Chat. Today is Monday, September 18th. I do want to apologize. The last video that I uploaded, I realized that the sound volume between my voice and the what is it, the video, the news report, were totally off. So I am aware of that. I am hoping to adjust that. I don't know why it did that. It was kind of fluky because I've made lots of recordings before and that sound has never been off. Also, it's becoming evening because I'm recording this after work. And so I'm also now learning to adjust a bit with color. I have overhead lights that are color changing, the Philips color changing bulbs, which is great. But hopefully this lighting will work. If it does not, again, my sincere apologies as I kind of learned how to start filming in the dark, okay? The bright white light that I was going to put on was so bright it would have blown us all away, and I didn't want to give you an eyesore. So just please be patient as I kind of figure out the technicals of this, because I am starting to shift this channel a little bit more, maybe even a lot more, towards a reaction channel mixed in with some of my own individual stuff. But anyways, I do apologize for that inconvenience. So please stick with me and I will get it sorted out. All right, so moving forward on that, this video is from 2 years ago. So again, right in the beginning, about 30% of the way through the pandemic. It is a teacher who retired, and I believe she retired at 60 with a $100,000 student loan. And it's basically how she had to return to school. So we're going to go ahead, hear her story. I'm going to go ahead and make commentary on it. And I, of course, will put the story link in the description box. I think this is, I didn't time it, but I think this video is around 5 minutes. It's really not that long. It's from Bloomberg. But I will put a link to the story inside the description box, okay? I'm Carrie. This is Student Loan Chit Chat. Let's go ahead and get started. Here we go.
I have retired with over $100,000 in student debt.
Margie Patterson, a special education teacher, retired drowning in student loans at the age of 60.
All right. Now, as you know, the video is in the description box if you would like to watch it uninterrupted. First off, this video was a little too close to home for me because at 56, which I am right now, I had $110,000 student debt until it was forgiven in August 2022. I guarantee you I would have retired with that debt. No doubt about it. As a school teacher, I'm in my 18th year of teaching right now. I guarantee you I would have retired with that debt. She retired at 60 with that debt. There is no way at 60 years old I could retire, at least comfortably in any sort of way, with a $100,000 student loan hanging over me. And the fact that she was 60 when she retired, I don't think I would have retired. I would not have made that same decision to retire at 60, knowing that I had a $100,000 student debt. On the other hand, you could also say, because there was no way for her to pay it off. I mean, short of course, of winning the lottery, there was no way for her to pay it off. Does it really matter if she retires at 60, 65, 70 at this point?
You're out of here. This is how retirement is supposed to be.
And now she's gearing up to go back to work.
I just can't afford to take that break.
And this is something that is happening to a lot of teachers. And even though, some of you watching this video, maybe even a lot of you or most of you, are not at retirement age or even near retirement age, you have to remember these people are accruing this amount of debt, decades earlier. So they're accruing it in their 40s, 50s. I accrued mine at the age of 38. Okay, I went back to school, became a teacher at 38. So figure I, had my 2 master degrees by the time I was 36. I'm 56. So you're talking, 18 years I've been teaching, but I've been carrying student loan debt closer to like 20 years. Okay, it applies. It applies to you, even if you're only in your 30s and you're like, well, I'm so far away from 60. According to student loan debt, especially if you're holding 6 figures, near 6 figures, or even half that amount, but all you're going to do is pay income based, you'll be holding to that. You'll be holding on to that debt for a very long time, decades.
This student here one of my favorite students.
About half of all educators have taken out student loans to fund their schooling. Outstanding balances average to $58,700.
$58,700 is the average teacher balance. This was 2 years ago. So let me give you some context here, because, public school teacher salaries, our public salaries really aren't exactly quite. If you want to know how much a teacher makes, just, find out how many years they've worked, and it's all a nice, simple mathematical formula, okay? I just finally hit around the 60,000 mark. Just finally, not quite at 60, but so close, I could put my, pinky, finger into it. I did that after 18 years of teaching and 2 master degrees. So if the average outstanding balance of a teacher's student loan debt is 58,000, okay, you figure teachers are starting easily in the 40,000s. Teachers are already starting under the 8 ball, okay? What is it they say you're supposed to make? This is what I've read, okay? Your student loan should not be higher than the amount of income you're going to earn that first year of working. So let's just figure, I think I started around 47,000. That means my student loan debt should not have been more than 47,000. It was 80,000 instead, and climbing.
And 1 in 8 owe $105,000 or more.
Let that figure sink in. Let that figure sink in. And I can guarantee, well, I can't guarantee, but I can pretty much assure you their bill didn't necessarily start at 105. So when you hear 1 in 8 teachers owes 105,000, my bill started at 84,000 respectively, 84, 85,000. It grew to 110,000 over the 18 years that I had it. And when I came to realize there's no way I can pay this off. No way I can pay it off. And people can say, well, just live cheaper, live cheaper. I could live in my car and I still could not pay it off. There comes, it's a numbers thing. There just comes a mathematical number thing where you just aren't making enough. And if you think about it, that's why loan forgiveness exists.
That's the reality for Margie.
I think I was, about 38, 39. And I went back to school for my master's in special education.
Pause. I got my master's degree in teaching when I was 38. I am telling you, this could have been me. This could have been me. And she looks beautiful for her age. Just gorgeous. So yeah, it definitely could have been me. I got my master's degree at 38. Okay, actually, yeah, because that was the same year I started teaching. All right, 38. This could have been me. This is so many people. And our intentions and our hearts are in the right spot. We're going to pay it off.
And I didn't have the money on hand to pay for my master's degree, so I started taking out loans then.
She took out about $80,000 to fund her education.
And what did I tell you? What I tell you my loan was? About 85,000. All right.
And has been making monthly payments for most of her 23-year career in teaching.
I'm at 18 years. She's 5 years ahead of me in teaching, respectively. Okay. So she's made all these payments over 23 years. Has her debt gone down any? No. Why has it not gone down? Because she couldn't make enough to reach into the principal. She could not make enough. And keep in mind when we'll get into it later. We'll talk about down the road here. Hold on.
Still, the balance grew and stood at over $100,000 when she retired.
There's a couple of reasons that come together to make student debt so common among teachers. The first reason is that in order to increase your pay, you need to have a graduate degree.
That is the thought that I went into also when I became a teacher. Okay, but it wasn't, and I think really good teachers, people who really love the job, I'm a 3rd generation teacher, it wasn't just about the money for me. And I think a lot of really good teachers will agree with me. It's not just about the money. We want to be good at our job. We want to excel at our job. I didn't just want to go into education being a mediocre teacher who was struggling to find my footing. I wanted to go in with the best theories, the best practices. I wanted to go in knowing what resources I could use if I needed help. I did not do it strictly for the money. I can tell you that most really good teachers, regardless of subject area, that go for a master's degree, it is not just about the money. It's not. And I can prove it because I was dumb enough not to figure out the money before I went. I went to school on an emotional level. It was, I didn't want to be mediocre. I didn't just want to be an average teacher doing an average job, collecting a paycheck. I wanted to go in with my game on. I wanted to be the best that I was capable of being. I continue to want to be that. But when I got that master's degree, yeah, okay, so I looked at it and went, okay, so I could earn an extra $3,000 a year. But equally important was I could take this job and hit a home run with it if I went in having skills. Because even though I already had one master's, it wasn't in education. And I didn't want to be floundering like a fish, trying to make my way through, the teaching world. Even though I was a third generation teacher, I knew that young lives were at stake. I knew that the information that I knew and how good I could present it was going to change students' lives. I wanted to change it in the right direction. And really, I wanted partly for me was to get a master's degree because I wanted to be the teacher that I would want to have. What type of teacher would I want? And this is why so many teachers are in debt. It is not strictly about the dollar bill. It's about the desire to know that, your child's future, the 9 months that they have with me might make or break them academically and confidence, self-esteem, what they know. That's what it's about. But unfortunately, we tend to put that heart, I think, on our sleeve. We wear it and we forget the number of math and what it's going to cost to do it. I hope that all makes sense. Sorry about that little rant there, but it had to be said. And I think if you're a dedicated teacher, you definitely know what I'm talking about.
Second, tuitions have gone up for graduate programs even more notably than they've gone up for undergraduate programs. And a third layer is that when teachers borrow for a graduate degree, and what many people don't realize is that your graduate degree borrowing, it constitutes most student level borrowing. And so
let me have him finish here. Hold on.
Whenever we've heard the $1.7 trillion student loan debt balances, this is by and large paying for graduate degrees.
And I do know that statistically a lot of graduate degree debt is also held by women, minorities, okay, more than it is even by men. I do believe I'm statistically correct on that. Here's the sad truth. We go into, and I say we're talking about teachers, but I think this can apply to any field with graduate. This is not just for teachers. Let's expand beyond that. Okay, this story is about a teacher, but this could just as easily, be a struggling, paramedic or struggling nurse. We can expand it to other fields. Okay, so when I talk about it in terms of teaching, I don't want my audience to think that this just applies to teachers. We can expand it beyond that. But for the purposes of this video, we will go ahead and talk about in terms of teachers. What is sad is that to make more money, you have to get into more debt. But unlike other fields where I can get into more debt and be able to pay off that debt and make a profit above that, what do teachers do? We say, hey, we want to make more money, okay? And again, this is taking away the emotional end of it, okay? We're talking about the dollar bill, okay? The ledger, so to speak, okay? We need to make more money. We want to make more money. Most times because we need to, all right? So to make more money, it's, hey, go to school, get into more debt. But as I've mentioned in my earlier videos, guess what? I could do a part-time job working at a shoe store about, 10 hours a week, give up a day a week, and you can take home as much, if not more money than you would take per month getting a master's degree. I did a video on that. I'll see if I can remember to link that at the end. I figured out going back to school to get a master's degree. I actually did the math on it. Only came to, I think it came to something like $300 a month extra I needed. That's all I was going to get paid, making $3,000 extra a year minus what they would take away in taxes. Okay, it only came to like $300 a month, maybe 400 tops. You could do that doing a part-time retail fast food job. And guess what? You don't have to get stuck with a student loan. And when you don't want to do that fast food, part-time sales, retail, whatever, side gig job, you can quit and you owe nobody. But unfortunately here, we have to go take out a large loan so we can do what? Make more money. And the cycle continues.
My degree here, my master's of arts. Earning a master's did help me earn more pay. Overall, $15,000 more on the pay scale. The thing.
Okay, so yeah, it helps you earn more pay. But as I've said in earlier videos, that pay is, you have to think of it as when you take out a student loan, it is no different than taking an advance on a credit card. It is no different than going into AMSCOT and saying, hey, you know what? I need you to give me $80,000 or whatever the dollar figure is. I need you to give me, money for school, and I'm going to pay it back because the job promotion that I get or the new job I'm going to get is going to pay that off. Student loans are no different. As far as I'm concerned, they probably shouldn't even call them student loans. They should just call it credit card debt to go to school.
Is when you are in a contract with a district, once you reach that top step, that's it. I sat at that same pay for like 7 years.
Hold my root beer. All right. I'm in my 18th year of teaching. The year, if everything goes right, okay, I have basically 12 years before I retire, assuming I do the full time with the district, which is my intention. Okay. But I am only about maybe $10,000 away from the top of the pay scale. So this lady, but when I hit the top of the pay scale, I will be near retirement age, which is actually a good thing because I will still be able to get, pension based on your top 5 years. In this case, she completed all of her years at a younger age. So imagine sitting and watching inflation, okay? The COLA, cost of living, okay, increases, but you can't make any more pay. How many professions where you need this much education to try and make more money wind up having you severely in debt to make more money, and then they top you off? Could you imagine? I have an awesome knee surgeon, and I couldn't imagine somebody saying to him, doctor, I'm going to keep his name private because he's my doctor, Dr. So-and-so, by the way, after you've done this for 20 years, you're not going to make any more money. It doesn't matter how much better you get at your job. It doesn't matter how many lives you positively affect, how many more patients you handle. That's it. That's all you're getting. Okay? And they wonder why so many teachers leave the profession. Okay? This is one of the reasons. Once you're at the top, that's it. There is no more pay.
It's well known that teachers are underpaid. Estimates vary, but it's generally accepted to be between 5, 10 to maybe 20% of teachers are underpaid in comparison to similarly educated peers.
And let's also remember something else that teachers deal with. And again, I'm going to talk about the teaching profession because that's my area of expertise. I can't talk about other professions, but in the teaching profession, teachers are supposed to get pay increases, level pay, step pay. I think the terms are a little bit interchangeable, but after so many years, you're supposed to get a pay increase. Well, a lot of times teachers are denied that pay increase due to budget. Okay. And so what happens is when teachers don't get those regular pay increases, it can affect how much their pension is, especially if they're not staying for the full 30 years, because part of your pension is dependent on, the top five paying years. Okay. But teachers can, and I really want people to hear this that aren't familiar with, education. Teachers lose tens of thousands potentially in pay when they are not given the pay increases as was shown to them when they got hired. So what can wind up happening is we can sit and tell the teacher, well, you should have just simply been more responsible in making sure you didn't get into student loan debt. That is true, and you're going to get absolutely no argument from me. I should have done the numbers. But on the flip side, okay, what the general public is oftentimes not aware of is teachers have been denied pay step increases because of budget. Okay, and let's make this very clear. Okay, this has nothing to do with the school administrators. It has nothing to do with the teachers directly at the school. It just has to do with the politics and the budget. Okay, and what happens is a teacher that was, let's just throw out, stuff without getting overly personal about my raises and stuff. But let's just say a teacher was supposed to get a pay raise her 10th year of teaching. She doesn't get that pay raise. There's not enough money in the budget. She doesn't get a pay raise for 3 years. And now the next level she gets is one step up in pay when she should have been 2 steps up in pay. So think over a 30-year career, even a 20-year career, 15-year career, okay? How many thousands of dollars that teacher has lost in pay that he or she should have gotten but could not get. And then you partly wonder why teachers can't pay their student loan off. Because perhaps, in a 10, 20, 30-year career, they were denied $15,000 worth of pay. Well, there's a vehicle for a teacher to get back in school on. There's a deposit for a piece of property that could have helped that teacher avoid PMI. I was almost going to say PMS. I think it's called PMI, Prime Mortgage Insurance, PMI. Okay. So these add up. So somebody who's not familiar with education can be very quick to say, well, these teachers should just live on less and less. They're already living on less. Okay. They already don't get their annual step increases as they should. Okay, they already make sacrifices to students that they pay for in their classroom for supplies, lunches, materials. Okay, I'm blessed. I'm at a school where that stuff is generously provided. But go to certain parts of America, not so lucky.
If we're not paying teachers as much, those loan balances are going to shrink at a much slower rate. Typical loan payoffs are within about 10 years. And for some teachers, particularly if we're going to an income-based repayment plan, which many teachers do, those loans aren't fully paid off for 20 to 25 years.
And let's take it a step further. A lot of income-based plans, those loans won't ever get paid off. If your income-based plan is so low that it's not hitting into the principal, you will never pay that debt off. That 20 to 25 year payment for teachers on their balance will only work, or any field. It doesn't matter what field. Okay, forget the teaching field. Anybody who takes out a student loan, if your monthly payment is not high enough to get into that principal, you will never pay it off, ever.
Honestly, I really thought that I was going to qualify for the teacher loan forgiveness program, because that there is like $17,500 a school year that can be wiped away if you work in a low-income community for 5 years straight, which I have did nothing but worked in a low-income community for 23 years.
Teacher loan forgiveness is a federal program which teachers who work at low-income schools or other qualified schools for 5 consecutive years can apply for.
This is different, just for those who may not know. This is slightly different from the PSLF program. The PSLF program, Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, didn't occur until 2006, 2007. I'm going to say closer to 2007 because I entered teaching in 2006 and it didn't exist. So about 2007, 2008, the early Obama administration, okay? And this was created by Congress. What Margie here is going through is before the PSLF program existed, there were also smaller programs, smaller forgiveness programs, and just like she said, if you worked for 5 years at a low-income school, they would contribute a certain amount towards your teacher debt. But I will say that PSLF blows this all out the window because PSLF will wipe out the whole thing after 10 years.
Margie's application was denied.
Here's the kicker. I covered all my bases, but just one stipulation. If you have any loan out prior to 1998 that disqualifies you for the program. And
Yes, it gets that technical, which is why 99% of the people, until they did the PSLF waiver, were getting their loans denied. Okay. I will tell you that until the PSLF waiver came, and that was in, I believe, 2001, because mine was forgiven in 2022. It took about a year to forgive mine. I was denied almost a year's worth of payments towards my 120 credits. Why did they deny me? I paid the bill early. You were not allowed to pay your bill early. I was trying so hard to stay on top of it. And so I would make for about 6 months. I made 12 months. I can't remember. It's been a while. Okay. But I would pay the bill early. I got penalized and was told that did not count. You cannot pay the student loan bill early. This is how technical. It was basically anything they can do to say no, they were going to say no.
that right there, I think is so unfair because all my student loans be wiped out right now.
Margie now plans on applying for Public Service Loan Forgiveness, or the PSLF program.
This is a program, as long as a person is working in the public sector or nonprofit sector, then that person is eligible after 10 years of paying on an income-based repayment loan. They are eligible to have the remainder of their debt wiped, paid off in full. So which
Okay. Something to remember also is if you go to studentaid.gov, I believe that is the site, okay, you can look up your employer, whether they be nonprofit, okay, city, state, government, okay. You can actually type in your employer's name and see if they appear on that list. If they appear on that list, congratulations, okay, they are PSLF qualified. If they do not appear on that list, all right, you have some steps you need to go through to make sure they weren't accidentally left off, or if they actually don't appear. This is especially true with nonprofit. By the way, if you are a teacher and you're kind of new with PSLF, you're going to want to look it up under your school district. Don't look it up under your school name. Teachers, you want to look it up under your school district, okay? But if you are nonprofit, this gets incredibly touchy with nonprofit. If you don't see the name of your nonprofit on that list, okay, you must do your due diligence. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Do your due diligence and make sure that they qualify. Or you could actually be with a nonprofit that doesn't qualify.
it's actually a very generous program, at least in paper.
Yes, at least on paper it is, because as you know, like I said earlier, 99% of the people were rejected. Now it has gotten better. It's gotten a lot better, okay? But the problem is that there's just so much technicality, and really a lot of the technicality is so you don't get the forgiveness, because, you know, who's going to make money off of you once your debt is cleared?
But it's rife with problems.
Teachers and firefighters say the program hasn't been forgiving at all, with a 99% rejection rate.
In 2020, it was 94%. In order to qualify for the PSLF program, 120 payments need to be paid as a working teacher. Margie still has 92 of those required payments to go.
This poor woman has served 23 years working in underprivileged communities. It's easy to write nasty notes and go, well, she should have known, yada, yada, yada. How many people want her job? How many people want to walk the footsteps she's walked down those halls that she's walked, that she's taught those kids that she has taught? How many people really want to do that? I don't think I'm cut for the schools that this woman is taught in. It's so easy to judge. My heart just breaks for her because, she served her time. She served her time. And now she's back at the beginning. Because PSLF, you have to be active on the program. That's something else for those of you who are not familiar with PSLF. Do not quit your job just because you've hit 120 payments. You need to assure that everything is going to go smoothly. You need to stay on that job until they've cleared it. Now, I know during the PSLF waiver period, okay, that 2001, 2002 period, they were even waiving whether or not you even had to still be on the job, because technically it's supposed to be, yeah, you've reached your 120 payments, but you cannot leave that job until we say you are cleared. So that could put somebody who's already served their 10 years of servitude that really wants to move on to a different career. They can't move on to a different career, because if they leave that job until they get the paperwork from the federal government that says your balance is zero, you're all good, guess what? They can lose the time and be denied forgiveness. So they go off to another job thinking, hey, I did my 120. And the government goes, no, we know you did your 120, but you left the job before we cleared you. So you need to quit whatever you're doing. You need to go back into teaching, and you need to continue teaching until we clear you. Keep that in mind, all right? Don't quit. Whatever job you're in, teacher, nursing, medical, firefighter, once you've hit your 120, do not leave it until you have got a letter that clears it. Or you get a letter that says, hey, you're good to go. You don't need to stay anymore. But I do know during the waiver time, they were actually allowing people to get their loans forgiven so long as they met 120 payments, 10 years. Okay. So long as they met that and 120 months served on the job. Okay.
That's 8 more years of payments. As teachers...
Okay, so she goes back at 60. She was retired. She'll be done at 68, assuming nothing in life gets in the way.
return to classrooms, the new school year brings an unwelcome return to normal. The pandemic freeze on payments is set to end early next year, meaning teachers have to start repaying their student loans again.
I risked my life for a whole school year to teach. I had students online and in front of me teaching every day. Why am I still paying student loans?
All right, and I'll be back in just a second. All right, in closing, this lighting's pretty bad because I don't feel like setting up my Ring camera and all of that stuff. So I'm just going to close it here real quick, say thank you for watching, and hopefully it gives you a little bit of insight as to why so many teachers retire in debt. It's never as easy. It's not just in teaching profession, it's in counseling and all of that. These public service jobs that require high amounts of education if you want to get ahead. But unfortunately, we don't calculate that to get ahead, we also have to get far, far behind. And it's easy to say, well, just go find another profession. Great. So all of us that would be very dedicated to the profession, who are you going to fill it with? People who are just looking for a job? People who just want time off? I would much rather have us pay these professionals, a much better living wage where we can go get the education and we can take on the debt, because we know we're not just going to be able to pay back that debt that we got into for education, but we also make a profit, because that's, when we're talking on the dollars and cents and what it takes to raise a family and all that stuff, that's what we're focusing on. Okay. So it's not just enough to be able to go into debt to be able to pay off the debt. It's to go into debt, pay off the debt, but then also make a profit. All right. So anyways, let's get out of here before this lighting kills us. I'm Carrie. This is Student Loan Chit Chat. Thank you so much for joining me. I do hope you will consider subscribing, and have a great night. Bye.